In a world filled with uncertainty, every truth lies just beneath the surface. Welcome to Truth Quest Documentaries, where we seek answers to the toughest questions and uncover the hidden realities shaping our world. Lebanon, a nation with a storied past, is now on the brink of collapse. Political gridlock, economic despair, and growing tensions with neighboring Israel threaten its future. Could Lebanon be following in the footsteps of Gaza, a region synonymous with conflict and isolation? Join us as we embark on a journey to explore the fragile future of Lebanon and the complex forces that could make it the next flashpoint in the Middle East. Lebanon, a nation with a rich history of resilience and cultural diversity, now stands at a critical juncture. Economic collapse, political paralysis, and growing tensions with neighboring Israel have pushed the country into uncharted territory. Meanwhile, Gaza has been the face of prolonged conflict, isolation, and despair for decades. But now, the question on many minds is, could Lebanon follow the same path? Is Lebanon the next Gaza? A brief history of Lebanon's complex political landscape. To understand Lebanon's current situation, we need to look back at its history. Lebanon has long been a unique tapestry of religious and cultural diversity, with Christians, Sunni, Shia, Druze, and other sects coexisting within a relatively small geographical area. But this diversity also contributed to tensions, exacerbated by external pressures. Lebanon's civil war from 1975 to 1990 was a devastating conflict that left the country deeply fractured, and its aftermath saw a political system divided along sectarian lines. This system has contributed to political gridlock and deep-rooted corruption. While Lebanon has experienced moments of hope, such as the Cedar Revolution, the political elite has continued to hold on to power, often prioritizing personal and sectarian interests over national unity. This has crippled the country's ability to respond to crises effectively. Lebanon's economic freefall over the past few years. Lebanon's economy has unraveled. What was once a relatively prosperous nation has seen its currency devalue by over 90%, plunging millions into poverty. The Lebanese pound, once pegged to the US dollar, has become virtually worthless. Savings are trapped in the banking system, and basic goods are becoming increasingly scarce. The root causes of Lebanon's economic crisis are multifaceted, ranging from decades of mismanagement and corruption to the Syrian refugee crisis, and most recently, the 2020 Beirut port explosion. This catastrophic event destroyed critical infrastructure and exposed the deep dysfunction in Lebanon's governance. As with Gaza, the collapse of infrastructure and the breakdown of essential services has led to widespread despair. Many wonder whether Lebanon is headed towards a prolonged period of isolation and conflict, similar to the experience in Gaza. Hezbollah's role in the shadow of Gaza. No discussion about Lebanon's future can ignore the influence of Hezbollah. Founded in the early 1980s, Hezbollah has grown into one of the most powerful non-state actors in the Middle East, with military, political, and social influence that rivals the Lebanese state itself. Backed by Iran, Hezbollah has become a significant player in the region's power dynamics. While it is seen by some as a protector of Lebanon, particularly from Israeli aggression, others view its dominance as a destabilizing force that risks dragging Lebanon into wider regional conflicts. The 2006 war between Hezbollah and Israel was a turning point, solidifying Hezbollah's reputation as a formidable military force. But this also raised concerns about Lebanon's vulnerability. Like Gaza, Lebanon faces the risk of becoming a battleground for proxy wars, where the local population bears the brunt of regional power struggles. Comparisons with Gaza. What's similar, what's different? Comparing Lebanon to Gaza isn't straightforward, but there are some unsettling parallels. Both regions are small, densely populated, and have endured years of political instability. They are also home to powerful non-state actors, Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, who exert significant military control. Gaza has been under a blockade since 2007, and its population suffers from a lack of access to basic resources, compounded by regular military clashes with Israel. Lebanon, though not blockaded in the same way, is increasingly isolated, with the economy in freefall and international aid dwindling. While Gaza's situation is largely due to external blockades, Lebanon's crisis is driven more by internal dysfunction. Israel-Lebanon tensions, a threat of another conflict? Tensions between Israel and Lebanon remain high, particularly along the southern border, where Hezbollah maintains a strong presence. Israel views Hezbollah as one of its most serious threats, given its arsenal of rockets and its deep ties to Iran. A miscalculation on either side could spark a conflict that draws Lebanon into a war it cannot afford. Just as Gaza has experienced repeated cycles of violence with Israel, Lebanon risks becoming the next flashpoint in the region. However, a war between Hezbollah and Israel could be even more destructive, given Hezbollah's military capabilities and the fragile state of Lebanon's infrastructure. The humanitarian crisis. Is Lebanon approaching Gaza's humanitarian collapse? One of the most worrying aspects of Lebanon's current situation is the emerging humanitarian crisis. The country's health system is collapsing, electricity is scarce, and access to clean water is diminishing. Lebanon's once thriving middle class is now shrinking, and many are fleeing the country in search of better opportunities. While Gaza's humanitarian situation has been worsened by external blockades, Lebanon's is more self-inflicted. Years of corruption, sectarian politics, and a refusal to enact meaningful reforms have left the state unable to provide even the most basic services. The international community is concerned, but there's no easy solution. The path forward. Can Lebanon avoid Gaza's fate? Despite the dark clouds hanging over Lebanon, there is still hope. The country's people have shown incredible resilience, rising up in protests against corruption, working to rebuild after disasters, and pushing for reforms. But time is running out. To avoid Gaza's fate, Lebanon must undertake significant reforms. This includes restructuring its political system, reducing the influence of sectarian politics, and revitalizing its economy. But this won't happen without support from the international community and a collective will from Lebanon's fractured leadership. The question remains: will Lebanon become the next Gaza? While the similarities are striking, Lebanon's unique history and the spirit of its people provide a glimmer of hope. The choices made in the coming months and years will determine its future. Thank you for joining us in this deep dive into Lebanon's future. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth analyses on global issues.